Hey guys, this is Anna with Shadowwick. Today is Imbolc, so blessed Imbolc. It is the Sabbath where we begin to see physically and spiritually the first signs of spring. We start to feel those renewal energies. It's a Sabbath where we really focus on purification and cleansing and healing, releasing that which does not serve, which I think is like a buzz phrase that we all say and we all mean it. But I don't know that we always take into consideration what that can entail at times. Especially during the dark of the year, we tend to kind of go internally. Especially if you're like me and you live in a state that winter is a thing and it's very cold outside and there is snow and it's not the easiest to get out in nature and commune. At least not the traditional way you might in summertime or fall or spring. So you tend to go internal a bit more. And a lot of shadow work takes place, which is great for healing, but it is a very difficult process. It's never something to be taken lightly when someone's like, oh, I really just want to work on shadow working. It's like, oh, okay. That's a hard task to undertake at times. It's not something that's as easy as, lighting a few candles and putting some healing crystals around you and taking, a bubble bath with oils and salts. Those might be tools you take in, but and you might take, I know I've done bath rituals for shadow work before, especially with the connection to water. Water as an element is like my least connected element. So a lot of time when I go into shadow working, I try to incorporate water because it is something I need to focus on. I need to focus on that connection to water in order to truly connect. So I'm putting that focus and concentration and time into this intent and into this focus. So I absolutely will take ritual baths for shadow working, but it is a process where I emerge from the bath and there's crying and there is pain and there is realization of things I've done that really sucked, or things that someone else had done to me that really sucked. And that acknowledgement is part of it, but then it's I heard someone refer to it as a spiral before shadow working, and that's very true, because it's like, okay, this is why I'm being triggered, and that's a pain point. And then you get past that, it's like, but how can I try to avoid this from being, well, I need to heal from this if I'm trying to avoid it being triggering again. How can I heal from it? That's a pain point and an acknowledgement. And then you somehow need to move on from that, and it just kind of keeps going, and there's always something new that you have to discover. And then sometimes you get done with the process and you think, oh, wonderful, I am done. I can release it. It is no longer a thing in my world. And then, a year or two later, or a month or two later, or whatever, all of a sudden you see something and boom, you're right back on that same spiral. It's like, you thought you were done, but I'm back. Because there's something else that triggers that pain, that trauma, and you kind of have to go back into it. And why is this triggering? What is this doing? And it's not always this I think shadow working is always cathartic, as much as I'm loath to use always as a thing. But I don't think it is always this huge, arduous, painful task. I think it can be a lot of times. Sometimes shadow working is the hardest thing to do, but it is essential. It is needed. It is something that we all have to do, even when the realization in it is, I'm not as good as I should be. And I hate saying good. I'm not all that I can be. I'm lacking here. I thought I was really great at this, but the reality is I don't think I'm that great in it. And then you have to identify, Is it that I'm really not that great at this, or is this just self-doubt, and self-doubt is the actual issue, or do I have an ego problem and I'm narcissistic, and now seeing someone else excelling at this is triggering that. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble. So we do all of these things during the dark of the year, and Imbolc is kind of one of those ping points when it's like, okay, check in. What are you releasing? What have you learned? And now you're like, hey, you know what? I learned this lesson. I've taken it in. I've grown from it. When I see this thing that used to trigger me, I can go, okay, I'm starting to feel this ping, but I'm going to let it go because I know this is why this is happening, and I can address that as opposed to this. And it's time to release it. That the releasing that which does not serve. Are you going to learn from this again? You know, if you do identify yourself as a narcissist, instead of getting down on yourself about it, learn from that, grow from that. And there's a time when you look back and go, you know, wow, I really was narcissistic about this, but I don't feel that way now. Well, don't get down on yourself every time something like that happens. And, oh, I used to be such a narcissist. Oh, I used to just be such an egomaniac about this. Sweetie, let that go. That was you then. That is not you now. And Imbolc calls to us to look at those moments and identify those energies within and without. And, hey, I don't need to carry this baggage with me any longer. I can release that. And Imbolc has those energies that will hopefully help to cleanse those and purify that part of yourself to move forward without that weight. So in that energy, 7 minutes later, Imbolc has really been something that I felt building up this year. I think I've said that every year, and like every year another Imbolc comes and it's like, oh no, I'm really feeling it. This year I'm really feeling it. And I'm really feeling like I need to do some working. So I know we have that lovely self-love September. But I'm also focusing this February in honor of Imbolc on self-love. And much like shadow work, self-love oftentimes gets kind of chopped up to, oh, I'll just take a nice bath. Absolutely, that's a thing. But sometimes self-love is going down those dark shadow worky paths. And it is addressing things that are easier to let slide. It's a good time to remember to do what is right, not what is easy. I am addressing some mundane things I've noticed in myself, healthier habits that I need to be making. That's been my focus for the mundane new year, as well as I think the spiritual new year. With Samhain, it was about focusing on my spiritual process and not looking at productivity as the be all and end all. It's I need to still connect to creations I make. And then with the new year, it's like, but I need to look past creations and really get back into workings and taking time for my personal spiritual practice, and finding a community and being part of community that way. And then in my mundane life, weight's something I've always struggled with. And I've always kind of looked at it as, I might be big, but I don't have any health problems. And I still don't. I could go into the doctors and they'll be like, oh, you're very overweight, but my blood pressure will be good, my cholesterol will be good, everything's good. But I feel the drain. I feel the discomfort. It's getting to be something where, I notice I don't have energy for things as much. And it is something that weighs on me in my confidence and my self-esteem. And it's hard to sit down and, connect spiritually when you don't like what you see in the mirror. And I often shut those emotions away because I go, oh, that's super shallow and super like egotistical. Like, oh, well, I have to be this in order to be worthy. Like, I don't agree with that ever. That's not true. But the reality is, it's very hard to feel empowered when you don't feel good. And although I can identify and I know weight does not equal worthiness, I don't think weight is a factor when it comes to beauty. But it is something I don't like about myself. Never judging anyone else or anyone else's journey or anyone else's self-esteem, because there are many, 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 many beautiful big women and beautiful big men and beautiful big people. Like it's there, and their confidence is just off the charts, and that's so beautiful and sexy and whatever. You know, it's so worthy. I am not one of those people. And that was one of the hardest shadow works I think I've had to undertake. Is to fully understand that and get that. Not like hard as in like it was the most painful, because it wasn't. It was just hard to get it through my head. Because the minute I would say, well, I don't like myself, well, then what am I saying about, you know, oh, you have to be skinny to be beautiful? That's bullshit. You don't believe that. So why is that a thing for you? And it's like, no, I'm not saying that. But I do need to accept that I don't feel like I am where I need to be. I am not where I want to be. Maybe that's more it. It's not about need. It's about want. So this month I'm undertaking a health challenge to start working on my weight and healthier choices. I did I'm doing a 21-day ritual dedication with a friend of mine is putting it on Facebook, and I've been doing that, and I think that's really what triggered a lot of these aha moments with myself. Was one of the leaders of it said, well, you need to realize your body is quite literally a temple. You have all of the elements within your body. And it's like, if this was an altar that I had to, like Hel, or Cernunnos, or Aphrodite, or Baba Yaga, you know, any of the divine energies I work with, if I had that, like, I'll say Hel. If I had this as a shrine to Hel, and I kept up with that shrine the way I keep up with my own body and health, how would that look? Oof. It would be so bad. It would not be good. And that kind of realization is what kind of kickstarted me to go, I need to stop going on this spiral of shadow work and keep hitting these triggers and hitting these pain points. I need to release it so that I can begin the intention work and begin the process of feeling better and doing better and having more health in my life and treating my body like the temple and like the divine energy that it is. I am also going to be doing a 28-day of creation challenge, which another friend of mine on Facebook started. She's like, who's with me? I'm like, I'm so in. So each day in February, I will be creating something. It's not about crafting. It's about creating, which I really liked. So it's like, yes, I make candles. So yes, I'll probably have some candles that I'll be making. But it's also, cooking something, drawing something, I'm excited to create a couple of rituals for my personal practice. Creating, starting to create a grimoire. I don't really have an official grimoire. I have notebooks up the wazoo of, you know, blueprints and notes and like all sorts of things, all sorts of little things all over that mean something to me and have purpose, but they're just in notebooks, and I need to create an actual formal collection of them, and start that. And I think I personally get bogged down a bit with starting something of that nature. Like, I want to make a book of shadows. I want to make a grimoire. What if I do this wrong? What if I start the page and it's wrong? What if I look back on it later and go, I should have organized this. I should have done this. I should have done that. This should be this way. This should be that way. And then I break myself out mentally so much that it won't happen. So I need to get past that. Probably another self-love thing to focus on. Getting past that self-doubt and those what ifs, because if you worry so much about what ifs, you're never going to take that step. You're going to be stuck in one place all the time. So I wanted to do this video, and I know this is a super long video compared to what I've been putting out lately, and I know this is more of a witchy post video that I've had before. My YouTube channel went from what it was before to now Shadowwick Creations focus. But this is such a personal journey that I'm taking, and Shadowwick, I need to realize and understand, is a very personal thing for me as well. That's why I get so frustrated with it at times, and why when someone tries to point out the business side of things, it can hurt a bit, because it's like, but it's part of me. And so since I'm going through this on a personal level, I wanted to put this out there as under Shadowwick, because that means Shadowwick is going to be shaped by it. I'm going to try to include, and I'm going to keep using the word try, because videos have always been very hard for me to do after I had some very dark moments concerning YouTube a few years ago, and it's just been really hard to get back on and doing things properly and keeping up with it. But something that actually I think I've gotten hit upside the head from hell about is I need to stop worrying about what will other people think, what will other people do. And I need to stop putting my self-worth based on what other people think of me as, which has been a very real struggle and will probably always be a very real struggle. But if I feel like if I get the idea to do something and it keeps gnawing at me, I should do it and forget any self-doubt or reservation and just put it out there. I've wanted to share, hey, I'm going through this self-love February. I'm looking to make transformations in my own life, which will inevitably carry through to Shadowwick. And so in doing that, I wanted to post a video concerning this stuff as well, just so you might want to do this too, or maybe I'll try to do videos if spirit hits me to, like, hey, this is something I noticed today and it's really rocking me. Have you guys had this happen too? Maybe it's something I'm saying or going through might connect to someone else. But it definitely will affect some of the content on this, because I do want to share. If I sit down and cook my Grandma Marie's spaghetti, maybe I'll share that, because it's part of the 28-day creation challenge. If I figure out, a workout routine that really kind of speaks to me spiritually for some reason, maybe that's something that I'll put up, not showing you my workout routine because that would be scary, but maybe I'll post about it like, hey, maybe this is something to add to a spiritual practice, because I never thought of putting working out as a spiritual practice. I understand yoga and all of that, but that's never been me. So, anyway, really long video, and I'm sorry. I felt sharing this would be a good thing. I felt like I wanted to tell someone about this, and I wasn't sure how to. Because a lot of times I think, again, going back to that whole self-love, it's like, oh, I want to do this for me, and instantly I get hit with, boy, that's really egotistical, where you feel you need to tell people that you want to do something for yourself. But making a video and putting it out publicly, I'm not forcing people to watch this. No one can watch this. Or I can get all the dislikes possible because why are you sharing this crap with the rest of the world? And that's valid. And that's fine. But I'm not like forcing someone to sit down with me and have this existential moment that really they hear and go, that's ridiculous. So yeah, I'm starting to ramble. So I'm going to end this because it's starting to get a little warped and out of focus. But long story short, February is going to be my month of self-love. I am going to share, hopefully on YouTube, but also on Shadowwick's Facebook page and Instagram and stuff, things that I'm creating and doing and aha moments that I'm having during this process. And I really hope that people are, not that people are interested, like, oh, please tune in and please watch, but more like maybe this resonates with someone else other than myself. Maybe this is something that might, I don't want to say inspire because that's pretty egotistical, like, oh, let me inspire you, but let those energies inspire you. That I can get behind. If these energies are inspiring me, take this Sabbath of Imbolc and do something new. Switch something up. Start a routine. Start a practice. Start one thing that you've been scared to start. Oh gosh, and it's happening again. Okay, going to go before I start sobbing. So yes, February, month of self-love, and manifestation, or not manifestation, intent. Self-love and intent setting. And I hope this connects or resonates, and I hope you didn't just waste like 20 minutes of your time watching this. So, thanks guys. Blessed Imbolc. I hope everyone feels renewal and rejuvenation and begins to see some of these spring awakening things happening, not only without in nature, but also within. Blessed be.